Hi everyone, Raquel here from Scrapcosy. Today I wanted to share with you how to create 6 tags from a masterboard, all in one go instead of creating them individually. I created this so I could send a thank you note to my Etsy customers when they place an order to purchase my stamps and stencils at my shop. I've added the link to my shop in case you want to have a look. I'm going to use one of my latest stamp sets, ESC18. Okay, let's get started. First I'll use Golden Sands and Olive Tree infusions into the script text. What I'm going to do is putting some infusions on my craft sheet, then I will rub this with my finger onto the stamp. I'm using a lot of amount of infusions in comparison to other different techniques that I use. And you don't see very well where you are putting it. You just need to make sure that more or less you rub on all the rubber and everything is covered. I'm just knocking some of that powder down to reuse it. Now I spritz like 4 times or so with a spritzer, that's just water to activate the infusions. And then I'm using a piece of smoothy heavy cardstock, an A4 size, and I'm stamping that all over the place in different parts. My first impression was just in the middle because I wanted to have that script across the 6 tags, because the 6 tags will be cut from here. So basically I'll cut the paper in half and then in thirds. So as you can see, everything is stamped. That's the first layer. And this is like a watercolor effect of stamping. I love this technique. Leandro showed it to me. So now I'm going to stamp with that flower. I was going to use Versafine Clair, that black one, but I decided to actually go for the Pinecone color, which is a very dark brown. And as you can see, the stamp detaches, so I'm going to make sure that it gets fixed properly. I'm just rubbing some Versamark ink on top of my acrylic block. Sometimes it happens with having an acrylic block that it's either dirty or the actual stamp that it's a bit dirty as well. So if you put some Versamark, you make sure that it's sticky and then you can just, well, put it back and it will stay. That's a trick. So what I'm going to do is stamp all over the place that flower, especially in the white parts. And I'm making sure that all the tags kind of get at least one flower or different portions of it. So just figure that this piece of paper will be cut in thirds and then in the middle. So I'm just putting those flowers over there. And I'm using Versafine Clair for 2 different reasons. These are very juicy inks, okay? So basically such a large stamp needs very little pressure to actually stamp very well. It also, stamps very clearly, and also it's waterproof, okay? And since we are going to use infusions afterwards, like to color, and it will be with water, I don't want my ink to smear, so I need something that is waterproof. And these inks are. Now that we have the second layer, I'm going to apply some touches of that script, but in ink this time, to get a more darker effect here and there. And I'm always using it in the same direction, or at least I try to. And that would be my third, sorry. So now 4th layer, and I'm using that little stamp all over the place. And I'm also making sure that at least I get 2 of those impressions in each tag. And I like to position them closely, like 2 of them or so. So it seems like a postage stamp thingy. And well, I like it like that. And once I finish, well, that will be all the stamping done. And then it will be time for coloring. I'm making sure that I clean my craft sheet. I'm using some rubbing alcohol to remove that ink, and as you can see, it cleans very well, because water will not clean it properly. Now go back to Golden Sands infusions. For those who don't know, Infusions is a powder. It has a walnut and some dyes. And then when you mix it with water, you get both things dissolved, the walnut crystals and the color. So basically you achieve like a vintage result of that yellow, which I like very much. And there are 24 colors of infusions. If you want to know a bit more, I have a very big list of videos on how to use them with many techniques. The link to the playlist should be right now on screen. Here I'm just using it with water to do a watercolor painting, very quick, and I'm not bothering if I go just beyond the edges of those flowers. So it's just, well, a quick watercolor. And depending on the amount of water and the amount of infusions that you put, you obviously will get more or less color. And because this is a translucent paint, kind of, it's watercolor, you can always build up the color. Once it's dry, you can apply another layer and it will get darker and darker. So I'm just basically painting very plainly all those petals in this brownish yellow, which is Golden Sands, which is my favorite. If you're new to infusions and you want to start basically with some of them, I would basically grab a yellow, a blue and a red, because those are kind of primary colors and you can always mix them. And then maybe also a green. So for me, my go-to colors, because I like vintage, is Golden Sands and then the olive tree, which I already used, that you saw me using before. And then the other colors that I liked are slate blue and also rustic, which is an orange. And then finally the sunset peach, which is a red. So those would be my main colors that I normally go to. I'm applying now like a second layer on some petals. You will see that this is not my final color, that after I do add more coloring, I will go back again to the petals to add even more strength on those colors. So basically that's it. I'm cleaning that yellow and then I'm going to the olive tree, which is the green. And again, it's a green, but it's all infusions are formed of different colors. So the green is a composition of yellows and blues and greens that all together, when you mix them, you get the color of the bottle, which in this case is green. It's an olive tree color. It's very nice, very vintagey as well. So again, I'm just adding water on top of it and then mixing it and painting. And because it has walnut, again, I'm dissolving it very, very well, so all the particles are dissolved and I get a uniform color. Because otherwise, if you don't do that, you may end up grabbing some of the walnut crystals, drag it across and then get a brown line somewhere. And you may want that. There are some techniques that you can use that to create like wood effect if you want. Again, you can check my videos to know how to do that. Or you can just make sure that it's properly dissolved and then you'll get a uniform color. Okay, so all the greens are done. I think I missed some leaves, but you'll see that I fix that later. Now I'm using rustic, which is an orange. And then I'm going to just apply it on the middle of each flower. And that will be the basic coloring that I'm doing. And once I'm done, to move on to the next stage, I'm going to heat set with heat tool because it's basically very wet. And I'm adding that touch of color that was missing. And once everything is dry, then I'll apply the next layer, which will be again with Golden Sands, and it's going to be like a washout to color everything in yellow. So I'm applying a lot of Golden Sands there. Don't worry if you use that much amount. I mean, the infusions pot is huge in terms of the amount of powders that you have, so don't worry, they will not run out very soon at all. So I'm mixing it very, very well, and then with a thick brush I'm just applying that yellow on top of everything. So that gives me like an instant vintage look. And I'm working quickly here because I want my surface to still be wet for my next step, which is applying some drops of water. And while surface is wet, if you apply water, water acts as bleach, and then you can basically pull it out. But once it's dry, it dries permanent, so you will not be able to remove anything at all. So you need to be quick, basically. And now what I'm doing is creating more of that yellow, a bit darker this time, and I'm going to add some splashes here and there with a brush. This is like a plastic brush, and then I'm just getting some of it and then splashing it. I'll just now slow it down so you can see how I do it. So basically just pull some of those hairs of the brush up, and you need to make sure that the position is flat against the paper, okay, because otherwise you will put drops all over the place. Okay, so you just need a bit of practice, and then make sure that you aim for the paper when you do that. And this brush, I just bought it like in a pound store, Poundland, that we have here in the UK, and they had like 3 of them, and I just used this size. Obviously a Ranger have another version of it that you can also get. I'll add the link there because I don't have the Poundland one to share. So now I'm applying green again to make the leaves a bit greener so they pop out more. If you like it as it is, then just don't do this step basically. But if you want more color, because again we are using this translucent watercolor, you can always add more and more to get different layers of color. So now I'm popping that out just by adding an extra layer of green. Just because these are my focal points for the tag, so I want them to pop. But you could just leave them as they were if you wanted a milder version of it. So as you can see, I'm very quick here. I'm not bothering about if I go beyond the lines or anything. And once everything is done, then I'll do the same with the yellow again. I won't bother with the orange because the orange, it's darker enough for me. So I prefer it this way. They just pop a lot now, don't you think? So basically this will be like my masterboard, and that will be done soon. So it will be time for cutting and then making the individual tags out of it. So this is one technique that you can use to create this, but you can do anything. You can work with paint and you can work with other stamps and create your own masterboard. Just make sure that everything is kind of homogeneous, so then in every single tag you get kind of the same elements, and then it would seem that they all belong to the same collection. So I'm just heat setting this, and then it will be time for cutting. And in this case I'm just folding the paper in half. It would have been better to actually measure it because I think I didn't do it very well. So 3 of them were a bit shorter than the other 3, but that's fine because I'm not going to send them all together, it will be separated. And now because my paper is 21 centimeters long, then I'm cutting them at 7. So that's one tag, and then 2 more will come. And I was doing it very slowly because I didn't want to make a lot of noise. My baby was sleeping in the other room, and yeah, I didn't want to wake him up. So even the videos speed up, but you see this me doing it very slowly, and that's the reason why. So now, just to make the tags a bit more tag, basically, I'm going to cut the different corners with a punch. So this is a punch that I bought in Japan that basically has 3 sizes, small, medium and large, and I'm using the medium one. And then with the crocodile I'm going to just do a hole in the middle, okay? And then to decorate each tag I'm just applying vintage photo distress ink to the edges, and that really makes them stand out as a single tag and not a piece of paper cut in 6. Can you see the difference? I really like it this way better than before. So now, well, basically I'm going to just cut all these. And then, yeah, they are cut. So I just did the corners. Again, I went outside to the garden to actually cut them because that punch was very, very noisy. So I just went outside and cut the corners so my baby wouldn't wake up. And then I'm adding in front of you the final touches, which is adding the distress ink. So then you can also see how each different tag looks like. And even if they have different results and different details, more or less all of them have the different layers that we have applied. So basically they seem to belong to the same collection. And I think, well, this is a nice touch for a tag. And I'm sure that my Etsy customers will like it. So what I normally do is I write in the back a thank you note. And then I put some ribbon around or hanging from that by way of goodies. So I'm showing you now each of them individually. And I'm just mounting here the masterboard again so you can see what we did. It's a bit tricky until I finally found the piece that I stamped in the middle. And now, yeah, that's the top part. So basically that was our masterboard and cut in 6. So that was all for today. As always, I will put now some pictures from all the tags so you can see all the details. I've added links to all the supplies used in the video. If you check the description of the video, you'll find them. So you can have a look if you want to get them or know more information about them. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and write me a comment. I love to read them and I'll respond as soon as I get a chance, or as soon as my baby gives me a chance to do it. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the ring bell button so you don't miss any of the videos coming. I leave you now with 2 related videos so you can have a look if you want to see more things about my channel. And that's it. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much for watching. Bye!